Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for banning my sister from ever seeing my daughter again? I, 36 male, got married 12 years and my wife, and I had a daughter, Rebecca 10F. My sister, Lindsay, never really liked my wife, and I had to put some strong boundaries in place. It was not a good time and Lindsay really hated my wife more, since she said I was choose my wife over family. Well, 2 months ago my wife's father got really sick, and after a long talk we decided that she will go take care of him until he passes away. That's the last of her family. We thought he would move in with us, but he wanted to go at his home. So my wife packed her stuff and fly across the country to him, and is his full-time caretaker. He probably has a month or 2 more. When Lindsay heard about this, she made a comment at dinner when Rebecca was at the table that my wife has abandoned her. This was the last straw and I went no contact with her. Rebecca really loves her aunt though, and it's been hard. Rebecca wants to hang out with her aunt and I have refused to let her. I work from home and yesterday around lunchtime I can't find her. There is a note in her room saying she went to have lunch with Lindsay. I was furious and tracked Rebecca's phone the first time that has ever happened, and they were at restaurant. I get there as fast as possible and grabbed my kid. I told Lindsay she will never see my daughter again. This started an argument and I literally walked out halfway though. Rebecca the whole time was crying and I asked for her phone. She gave it, and I deleted her aunt's contact information and told her you will never be talking to her again as long as you are a minor. She was crying even more. I told my wife, and she thinks I did the right thing and has been on the phone with Rebecca a lot since it happened. I have been fending off calls from all my family calling me a jerk. I need an honest option since Rebecca and my family sure think I'm awful. Please talk to your daughter in a calm manner. She currently believes you are being cruel by preventing her from seeing her aunt for no apparent reason. Do all in your power to explain the situation and convince her that her aunt will face severe consequences if she goes with her again. Comment by team member Alex. Now for the top comments. NTA, your sister doesn't respect your wife, you or your parenting decisions. She already speaks poorly about your wife in front of your daughter and took your child without your permission or knowledge. That last part is called kidnapping. Your sister kidnapped your child. Opus. NTA. You sister took a 10-year-old out of her home without informing either parent. She planned it in advance and likely asked your daughter to keep it a secret from you. And people are calling you a jerk. What if you didn't find the note? How many times could this have happened before? In the future? Definitely not the a-hole. And shame on anyone who tells you otherwise. I'd be letting C's know that the next time my child went missing, the police would be there. I'd say more, but I don't want a ban. Am I the antagonist for what I said to my BF's cousin when he said I'm a golddigger? My F23 boyfriend, Kyle, M31, is from a very wealthy family. I went no contact with my family a few years ago, so I didn't have much financial help these past few years, and I'm still struggling with money, but I have a good job and hopefully things will get better soon. But right now Kyle helps me a lot, and I really appreciate it. When Kyle introduced me to his family, some of them were extremely nice, especially his parents, but some don't like me and think I'm a golddigger. One of them is his cousin, Matt, M33. He has been making rude comments about us from the first day that we met. Last night I was invited to one of their family gatherings. Matt was also there. He made some comments about how Kyle only got a younger girlfriend because he is rich and I'm after his money. Usually, I don't answer because I don't want to cause drama, but this time I couldn't stop myself. So I told him, of course you would think like this. With a personality like yours, I don't think any of your girlfriends ever wanted you for anything other than money. Now half of his family hates me and calls me an R. Kyle and his parents are on my side, but I got some rude messages from Matt's siblings and parents who called me an R. Why should you be forced to endure Matt's rudeness and insults while remaining silent? The fact that his family is messaging you about this really baffles me. There seem to be some ties among them. If you dwell in a glass house, don't cast stones. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. So, if you're going to snipe someone like that, you've got to be prepared for the fallout, but it sounds entirely worth it. NTA. That was quite the elegant burn. NTA, the epitome of check yourself before you wreck yourself. Fucked around and found out. NTA, bravo. Sounds like he had that one coming. A taste of his own medicine and he couldn't swallow it. Am I the antagonist for putting the truck in my name? MF20 and my fianc is male 23. We bought a 90s car that needed some work. He got it fixed and he started driving me places in it. When I would ask or showed I wanted to drive it, he got very upset about it. I never got to drive it, but his friends have. We ended up splitting for a minimum over it. I recently put in down payment on a 2020 Toyota Tacoma double cab. I went with my uncle to get it, and when I signed for it, I put it in my name and my uncle co-signed for it. When I pulled in with it, he came outside smiling from ear to ear. He hugged me and thanked me for getting him his dream truck. I was trying to explain to him it was mine, but he had already jumped into it. He then seen the paperwork laying there and asked if he needed to sign it. Before I could answer, he read whose name it was in. He slowly got out and went in the house. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. While he was at work, he texted me and said it's really disrespectful that you got my dream truck and didn't put it in my name. It'll be staying at my mum's tonight. I didn't respond. Later on he sent me a pic of an GMC asking if it was pretty. I said I didn't like GMC, but if he liked it, it's pretty. He said well doesn't matter, you got the Toyota. So I just left him on read. He has yet to come home and I'm regretting getting the truck. So am I the antagonist? Edit, I forgot to mention that my uncle co-signed BC. I don't have any credit yet. Where I got the truck you have to have credit. My uncle has some bomb ass credit, so he was willing to sign BC. I've been saving up for a Tacoma. I saved up 4k to put down and got a loan. My uncle didn't care to do it. BC. I make roughly 1k every month, plus I have in savings my grandpa put up for me. My grandpa said I can use it to pay for the car if need be. IDK how much is in it, but my grandpa said it could get me through life with no worry for a year or so. You're too young to bind yourself in this way to an R. Please consider carefully whether you want to live with this kind of behavior for the rest of your life. He believed he had a right to your car, possibly still does. He's a whole disaster. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA, I mean who the fuck assumes you bought them a car? Get rid of them. This right here. Just because you're together doesn't mean things should be in both your names. Hell, I'm married and my wife's car is in her name and mine is in my name. It's okay to have things that you alone have ownership of. NTA, and I really hate to be one of those people on Reddit telling a stranger to end their relationship, but please reconsider marriage with this man. At the very least, postpone the wedding if there is a date set already and see about getting counseling. Individual or maybe as a couple. Note, if he is actually abusive, then don't get couple counseling. Your fiancé sounds entitled. But what is a red flag for me is that he is being dominant and you're adopting a very submissive position. Why did you never get to drive the van you contributed to buy? He got upset and that was it. You gave in. He allowed other people to drive your van, but not you. And he got away with it. Then you went and got yourself a truck. Since you clearly gave up any kind of pretense to use the vehicle you already have, he assumed the truck was for him, then got upset when he saw it's on your name. He decided to punish you for it by giving you the silent treatment and going away. And pay attention to this detail. He still doesn't acknowledge that the truck isn't his. Why are you letting this happen? Why are you not standing up for yourself with this man? Why are you regretting buying a vehicle that you like? Your husband is an asshole, and he may or may not be abusive. But it's clear he doesn't respect you and thinks he can bulldoze you over to get whatever he wants. If you marry him, this will only escalate. Keep the truck. Lose the man. Am I the antagonist for making a real life Pokdex of girls at my university? So freshman year of college, I began working on this project casually. I like to keep notes on women I talk to about their favorite things, activities they enjoy, gifts candy they like, sappy shit like that. I suck at remembering things like that, so I decided to keep a spreadsheet. Eventually, after getting a handful of entries, I offhandedly mentioned it to my friend group. One had the idea that I share it with them, so we could all keep new entries as they caught different entries. So this expanded further. Right now about 40 guys have access to it, and it's mainly the guys in my frat. And the women featured are girls from different sororities. We also added more information such as like where you should take them if you really want to impress them. We don't keep this information for any nefarious or scumbaggy reasons. Just to help us know what to do if we want to impress certain girls. Like the original idea of this was just to keep information like favorite color, so I didn't ever forget their favorite colors. Now it's helping a lot of guys. Somehow, a girl who was on the list found out, and she was pissed TF off. She was eventually able to trace it back to me, so I assume someone who was simping for her snitched when the Pokdex wasn't making the girl like him. So she's pissed off, and she made it out to be a guide to hooking up with women. When it's most definitely not that. It's just to make impressing them on dates easier. That's it. She's made a big deal of this telling so many girls around campus, and now they're all saying that by the start of the full semester, none of them will be visiting our fraternity or going to our parties. Now all the guys are mad at me when I'm not even the one who told girls about the list, and they were all also using the list. I also think it's unfair to say the list was all about sex when it wasn't at all. Am I the antagonist? Edit, I'm not a stalker. There was no information in it that could be used to hurt someone, only to have a better date. And it isn't about sex. I never used it for just sex. We don't hold on to this information for evil or shady purposes. However, the fact that you disseminated it and allowed others to change and utilize it independently makes it okay. Let me try to explain. Remove this database right away. The safety of women does not come before your convenience. Comment by team member Taylor. Now for the top comments. AITA. You said it was created to help you remember stuff about the girls you were dating, and it wasn't for nefarious reasons. But you also say that a guy probably gave up the fact that your Pokdex existed because the info on it wasn't getting her to like him. That sounds like manipulation, and that is nefarious. Manipulation is the perfect way to describe this. They are making these girls think they actually took the time to plan something special for them, when in reality all they did was search their name in a fucking spreadsheet in order to have a better date or get sex from them. Completely not okay, and I bet all of those girls feel violated from this whole thing, knowing there's random men out there who know all that shit about them. AITA. That's just creepy. And the fact that you shared it with other people and allowed them to edit it is disgusting. Also, entries. These aren't entries, these are actual people you're talking about here. The Pokdex wasn't making the girl like him so much for it not being for nefarious reasons. Edit to add after your comment saying nothing on there can hurt people. You have a list of several women's favorite places. So places they are likely to often go to, and now approximate 40 people have access to that information. And now know the most likely place to find these girls. How is that not information that could result in them getting hurt? Am I the antagonist for refusing to let my wife name our daughter her name? I, 34 male, in a situation where I feel like him, right, but some friends and family feel like him in the wrong. I truly don't think him in the wrong. So I'm looking for some unbiased opinions and answers. My wife Elizabeth died when my daughter Davina, 10F, was born. I decided to name her the middle name of her mother in honor of her. My current wife Natalie, 34F, didn't know this up until 2 weeks ago, until a cousin accidentally slipped it out. It's important to add that Natalie does get jealous of Elizabeth time to time, because Davina knows that Elizabeth was her real mom, and has pictures of her to remind her. Me and Natalie are expecting, so now she is hung up on naming our daughter Natalie. I understand that she is jealous, but I feel like she is only trying to one-up Elizabeth by doing this. I have already expressed my dislike for her doing this, but she brushes it off and says things like, "If you love me more than Elizabeth, you would let me have this at dinner with my family last night." She revealed without my knowing that the baby's name would be Natalie. I could tell that my family knew what she was trying to do and kind of just sat there awkwardly. I didn't want to embarrass her by saying anything directly, but when we got home I told her that I'm putting my foot down, and I refused to let her name our baby that. She called me cruel and pathetic for still loving Elizabeth, even though she is dead. I honestly didn't know what to say and just left. I'm currently writing this at my parents' house and seriously contemplating divorce. Edit 1. Natalie definitely didn't act like this before finding out about how Davina's name. And she doesn't treat Davina any type of way. Fortunately, she loves her like a daughter and Davina loves her like a mom. I don't compare Natalie and Elizabeth. Edit 2. I also did try to settle for Natalie being a middle name and not the baby's first name, but she was adamant on it being her first name. I don't want our baby to have that as her first name for the rest of her life, only because she feels the need to compete with my late wife. Edit 3. I'm not saying it's a problem for my wife to name our daughter after her, but the fact that she's naming our daughter after herself only to be petty and compete with my late wife is ridiculous. I will take Hugo's advice about counseling before divorce and her pregnancy hormones. I just don't want to put my daughter in a bad situation. Your union is in great peril. Your daughter will one day realize everything, and it will be dreadful. If your new wife feels like she is in competition with your deceased wife, she needs to work on her anxieties. She should not feel that she is living in the shadow of another person. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. Huge red flags throughout this post. If you're not going to do it for yourself because you deserve better, divorce her for your daughter who likely feels like she has to hide her love for her deceased mom to spare your current wife's delusional feelings. NTA. This. I wonder how many other times his wife's deep insecurity has affected Op and his daughter. I'm sure this isn't the first time. NTA, but your wife is jealous of your child and her dead mother, and that is neither normal nor okay. This woman needs therapy immediately. Am I the antagonist for refusing to let kids use the library's computer? My 7-year-old laptop pieced out yesterday. I have to submit my first thesis draft on the 17th of July, so I decided to go to my town's library to work on it. Couldn't go to the one in my university because it would be nearly an hour's commute. I get there and go to the computers sections, and the librarian tells me that I'm allowed to use a computer for up to 2 hours, and that I can't touch the ones with reserved signs on them because they are meant for routines program that they have. Cool. I queue up and wait 30 minutes for my turn and for an unreserved computer to free up, and then I get to working. 52 minutes later exactly, a group of about 8-9 kids walks in, and they take up the reserved computers. The librarian then came to me and the girl next to me and told us that we will have to leave because the group had 2 more kids than usual with them and they need the computers. I asked her what they needed the computers for, and she said just to play video games, watch stuff, because it was a program to keep teens off the streets during the summer. The girl next to me gave up her seat and left, but I told her I couldn't because I was working on my thesis and my 2 hours still weren't up. And plus I didn't have a laptop at home, and I can't fix it anytime soon, so this is the only time I have to work on my thesis. She got really mad and kept trying to convince me, but I stopped talking to her because I didn't want to waste any more time. She straight yelled at me for being a selfish adult and not prioritizing kids, and threatened to ban me from the library. She then went and shut off the computer I was using to get me to leave. Thank God I was using Google Docs and everything was synced and saved. I refused to leave after that just out of spite and anger, and kept sitting in my chair with my earphones and playing music. She left me alone after that, and I left after the group of kids did. There is now a Facebook post about me from one of the teens' mothers, and let me just say the comments are very much not on my side. My friend who I told this to also said I was being an asshole, and that I could have just left when asked like the girl did and came back after the kids left. I admit that at the end all of my actions were fueled by pure spite and pettiness, so that may have clouded my judgment. I'm planning on going back to the library tomorrow to work on my thesis, but don't know if I should report the librarian and double down, or if I'm in the wrong and should apologize. So Reddit. Am I the antagonist? Edit. I was working on my notepad both during the 30 minutes of waiting for a computer to free up, and when I was listening to music sitting in front of the shut-off computer. Your allotted 2 hours have passed. She attempted to expel you earlier. She intentionally turned off the computer while she knew you were working on your thesis in the hopes that you would lose your work. It's quite strange that they reserve 75% of their PCs each day for gameplay by teenagers. Comment by team member Coddy. Now for the top comments. So as a librarian. WTF. Not the a-hole. This librarian is terrible. You never kick another patron off for someone else. That kid should have to wait. Those programs are generally RSVP, and if they are not, they should be now. I bet they had a makerspace or other places in the library for those kids too. Your tax dollars pay for that computer usage. Talk to the library director. This is not okay. I was wondering why the librarian didn't just buddy up some of the kids. I do that all the time at the library, and usually they are pretty cool with playing with a friend. Former public library worker here, and I'm saying not the a-hole. The library I used to work at had a similar reservation system, and apart from looking at porn and it getting close to the library closing time, all reservations were an hour long. I'd report the librarian for shutting off your computer while you were using it.